Hello everyone. Let's see in that video famous game between Akiba Rubinstein and Karl Schlechter, played in San Sebastian in 1912. Akiba Rubinstein was white and he started with d4. d5 happened, knight f3, knight f6, c4. e6, knight c3, c5, so-called Tarrasch defense, and c takes d5. That was main Rubinstein weapon against very popular Tarrasch defense in that years. Black answered with knight d5. In case of e takes d5, Rubinstein liked to play g3, bishop g2, with bishop g5 and organizing pressure against weak pawn d5. But knight d5 led to completely different system and completely different pawn structure. Generally, in that variation after knight takes d5, white has comfortable possibility to gain space and control center after e4, which happened. And after knight c3, b takes c3, c takes, bishop b4, bishop d2, and queen a5. Karl Schlechter was very well known as very fine positional player, and he very rarely actually lost games in that period. Queen a5 happened, and what is idea of that move? Simply activating queen, intending to reduce material, which is very natural because white has already built pawn center with d4 and e4. With a lack of space, generally you should go for exchanging pieces and simplifying position. And now, very important moment, very amazing move was found in that moment by Akiba Rubinstein. What happened? Well, bishop b4 is an option, and in that position white is slightly better because he has strong center, already activated knight, king will be placed e3, and after fully coordination of his pieces and controlling center, white will have better prospects in endgame. But Rubinstein found deeper and much better move, rook b1, forcing black to take bishop d2 and to exchange. That can be also happened after a3, bishop takes d2, queen takes d2, but a3 is not important move for white, while same time rook b1 is very important. Well, black must take. In case of knight c6, rook b4, perfect, and after that queen b3, taking knight with much better position for white, almost already winning, I think. Black took, queen takes d2, queen takes, and of course king takes. Now comparing that position with position after bishop b4, queen takes b4, queen d2, queen d2, king d2. White has extra tempo because after rook b1 black is forced to take first. And now black did mistake castling. Why mistake? Well, simply queens are not on the board, and even two bishops and two knights are exchanged and black should go for king e7. King should stay in center. Black king is safe there, and king on g8 will be so out of battlefield. Castling happened, and now let's stop for a moment. In that position, white played one of best positional moves I ever seen. What's the point? There are many possibilities for white. Generally, white should make pressure on black, not develop queen side with using rooks on b and c file, activating bishop, maybe knight e5, and maybe even with creating passed pawn on d file. So many good options. For instance, bishop e2, bishop c4, king e3, or finally maybe bishop d3. But in that position, white played brilliant move, bishop b5. Looks like waste of time, because black will play a6 and bishop must go back. That is the point. Black must play a6, but that will make weakness on b6. So after a6, bishop d3, and of course white could play bishop d3 immediately, but then will not be weakness on b6. After bishop b5, black cannot play knight c6 because white will take, pawn takes, and after knight e5 white will be much better because black will have isolate pawn on c6. Soon that pawn will be lost, and also black bishop on c8 will be very passive. Bishop on b5 also prevents knight d7 and bishop d7 because after exchanging, pawn on b7 will be lost. Well, a6, what else? Now bishop d3, rook d8 and rook hc1. If black plays, for instance, bishop d7, pawn b7 is lost. If knight c6, simply king e3 will happen, and black still cannot play rook b8 because rook takes c6. Bishop b7, bishop d7 is also forbidden because pawn on b7 is hanging, and soon there will be huge problems for black. Pawn on a6 doesn't control b6 anymore, so black cannot play b6. That pawn will be lost. With pawn on a7, black will go for b6 and bishop a6 or bishop b7, but basically bishop a6, simplifying position, reducing material, which will be good for him. After a6, black cannot play b6, so he must play b5, but now pawns are on light squares. In some moment, white can maybe even crush black pawn structure on queen side. For instance, if black bishop is on b7, white can play a4, and using pinned pawn on b5, white will finally capture pawn on b5 for free. Even if black bishop doesn't go to b7, black pawns on a6 and b5 are very weak, and as you can see, neither a5 nor b4 is possible because one of pawns will be lost in that case. White continues with rook c7, and now c, very instructive position. Black only advanced pawns, all black pieces are on the rim, on the 8th rank, and still very passive. All white pieces, king even, and two rooks and bishop and knight, are very well placed in center, and pawns d4 and e4 make perfect shield, so white just set pieces behind that pawns and controlling all important squares in the center. Knight d7, king e3, black must do something. There is no other way to activate his queenside pieces, and he decided to play knight f6. Idea is bishop d7 and then maybe knight e8 or rook c8, simplifying position, and also in some moment knight g4 check, so white just plays knight e5. Perfect move. Not only preventing knight g4, but also centralizing knight and attacking f7. Black decided to play bishop d7. Of course, white is not interested in exchanging that perfect knight for that bad bishop and plays g4. Perfect move. That knight on f6 is not stable. That knight protects bishop d7, needed defense, and black decided to play h6, stopping white g5 possibility. Naturally, white should insist on g5, gaining space and attacking that knight, sending it to the rim. But how to do that? There are two possibilities, f4 and h4. Now you should take some seconds by pausing that video to try to get decision, f4 or h4. Well, now I will explain what is better possibility. After h4 and g5, black will take, white will take, and h5 will be open. And after f4, something similar will happen with difference in open file. After f4 and g5, h takes g5, f takes g5, f file will be open, and now you should think about f and h file. Which file can bring more to you, f or h file? Well, on h file there is no object for attack. White can maybe double rooks on h file, but that will take so much time. f4 is much better because after f4, g5 taking, rook f1 can attack pawn on f7, which is very weak and object for white attack. Bishop e8, making bishop safe. White continues with his plan, taking, knight h7 and h4. Once again, all black pieces are on the rim, on 8 rank and knight on h5. White pieces are even more dangerous now. Knight is on e5, attacking f7. Black king is in danger. Knight is restricted, can go to f8, but after rook f1, big problems for black. Rook dc8, simplifying position. Of course, white just doubles. Taking, and rook d8. Black was afraid of advancing d pawn, and of course that is very dangerous. Simply d4, d5, d6, d7 is very dangerous threat, and black decided to stop that. But now, after rook a7, simply white starts to convert his positional advantage to material advantage. f6. That's good strategy. If you are in worse position, you should reduce material, especially by exchanging pawns. That will maybe gives some chances to make draw to you, but in that position there is problem because f6 will make his king position unsafe. So white just takes, black takes, and knight g4. Dangerous threat is knight h6, and after that check, king must go to h8, because if king f8, knight on h7 is lost. And now once again black pieces are on h file and 7th and 8th rank, sorry. Now bishop e2, attacking black bishop. Of course, if bishop takes e2, knight f7 with the win, bishop goes back, and finally white takes a pawn. White decided first to play bishop e2. Now after king g7, knight has place on g4, f5. Once again black continues to exchanging as many pawns as he can, but e5 square is weak now, and white knight uses that immediately. check, king goes to safe zone, knight e5, f takes e4. What can white do now? King e4, of course, will be okay, a natural move, but bishop e5 is much better. Once again, bishop deflects opponent bishop, because after bishop b5, knight f7 will win the game immediately. Bishop b5, knight f6, and now finally white exchanges bishops. If knight e8, knight f7, of course, black decided to play that, and now white can win the game by advancing a pawn. Black knight must stay on f6 because white wants to play knight g6, h5, h6 with rook g8 mate, just to show what is white's intention, and rook g7 mate. So if black knights must stay there, a4 will be good choice, but king f4 is even better. What's the point? White king goes to g6 or h6 with idea to help knight and rook to mate opponent king. King g8 happened, king avoids some checks, and now see, rook on a7 is perfect, controlling 7th rank. King is very bad on g8 and there is no escape. King g5, black tried with rook f8, but king g6. There is no defense against rook g7 and knight f7 with winning the game. So you saw in that game how Akiba Rubinstein very effectively punished black for his neglecting fighting for central squares. Everything started with perfect move rook b1. Remember that black was forced to exchange pieces, and soon black in that moment did another mistake by missing king e7 and playing castle. Finally, few moves later, white's rook penetrates on 7th rank, and during all game, starting from move number 10, all black pieces remaining on board were very passive and on the rim of the board, while same time all white pieces were very perfectly placed in center behind white central pawn phalanx d4 and e4. So neglecting center in middle game and in opening can lead simply to disaster. That's very instructive and very illustrative example on that topic. During all game, white cared about center and black neglected his central activities. So winning position for white was achieved after only 20 moves. Simply that was very reasonable result of that game. Hope you enjoyed that game, that magnificent play from Akiba Rubinstein, and see you soon with new examples. Bye bye.